Okay, so now that we learned a little bit about aggregate demand, you'll have seen a video on aggregate demand that I sent to you as a link for the ACDC economics, and then you listen to my first part of this little video, and this part now we're going to talk about some of the tools that we use. Okay, and I want you to think about here in part A that you will also have this to do at home. You can see we will write expansionary or contractionary fiscal policy. So if the government cuts business taxes and personal income taxes and increases its own spending, what that means is that when it increases its own spending, that's going to make G go up, right? And if it cuts its taxes, that makes taxes go down, which is an increase in consumption. And both of these are part of aggregate demand. So that would mean aggregate demand, if this was a curve here, if this was AD right here, aggregate demand would move to the right here. So that would mean we have expansionary fiscal policy. Does that make sense? We have expansionary fiscal policy. Okay. However, if the government increases taxes, well, that'd be really bad for our aggregate demand. If we increased personal income tax, that means the consumption part, the part C, which you already know about, would go down, and that would lead to a decrease, right, in aggregate demand. And this is my little aggregate demand thing. And you can see that that would be a shift kind of like this way on the curve. So that would be what we call contractionary fiscal policy, because you can see the economy is actually having less GDP, right? We're going to left on this curve, so the economy is contracting. Okay, so what you want to do now is I want you to do question 3 and question 4, and then what I want you to do is I want you to go ahead and look at questions 1 through 5. And I want you to figure out what we need to do and what will happen as a result of that. Now, also keep in mind that while we're doing this, our debt is affected, right? So I'm going to show you our debt clock now. Let's see if this works. I'm going to show you our debt clock. Okay. And as our debt clock comes up, you can see our national debt is over $23 trillion and our deficit's over $1 trillion. So as you know, the more money that comes in over here, right, and the less money that we spend, then we go towards what we call budget surplus. However, if we bring in less money, if this number goes down, or if the spending goes up, we go into deficit. 1 year is called a deficit. And all those deficits would add to our debt. Okay. So adding to our debt means that our total debt goes up when we have a deficit. If we have a surplus, that is to say, and that usually happens with contractionary policy, then we'll move towards surplus. We have contractionary policy. So we're going back to this thing that I did earlier, and I hope it works. Let's see if okay, those new things didn't come up, but you can see that if we are sitting right here, we have 12% unemployment. That means that we need to get our economy going, which means we need to have our aggregate demand go up. Okay. So if our aggregate demand is going to go up, that means we need to definitely lower taxes because that will increase the C portion of GDP, or we need to increase government spending. And this will be expansionary, right? We will want to expand the economy because we have high unemployment. And that will mean we will be bringing in less money, right? We'll be taxing less and spending more. So we are going to move towards deficit. Excuse my dog. And then that means our debt's going to go up. But if we're in inflation over here, that means we want to slow our economy down, which means we want to make aggregate demand go to the left. which means we may want to raise taxes and we may want to lower government spending. That would be contraction. All right, let me try to spell that. That will be contraction. And in doing that, bringing in more money in taxes and spending less would move our budget towards surplus, right? And it would bring our debt down. Okay. Now you guys go ahead and show what 3 and 4 are going to be like. Number 5 is a tough one because you have unemployment and inflation are both happening at the same time. We call that stagflation. So why don't you just choose one of them to fix and then just sort of use this? And that will be part of your homework for this day too. Okay.